So next we're going to talk about owning versus renting. I mean, you're the mortgage expert. Have you ever rented before?
Yeah, I wasn't always, 46. You can't buy a house before you're 18. I'm a big believer of not everyone should own a home. Some people should just
What?
rent.
Get off my show.
Because the fact is, owning a home, yes, if you can buy a home, you should buy a home
Correct.
because it gives you that stability. Long term, it helps you create wealth because you're paying down something that's appreciating an asset. But guess what? If you barely have money for down payment, you should not buy a house, because then what happens is you've saved up money all this time living on, noodle soup or whatever to save up money for the down payment. And then you buy the house and the AC breaks down or the roof goes out, then who's going to pay for that?
The
So
maintenance.
you need to be financially responsible before you buy a home. So not everyone should buy a home. Obviously, I want more people to buy a home. You want more people to buy a home, but some people just shouldn't buy it.
Yeah, and like I have people that call me and they ask me like, do you have any lenders you recommend? And you're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, even if you're not ready to buy, talk to Shahram or somebody else just to kind of guide you that maybe in 2-3 years or whenever,
Have a game plan.
have a game plan.
Yeah.
Kind of prepare yourself.
And prepare them for, sorry, I interrupted you there,
That's
but
okay.
prepare them for what to expect with home ownership. Yes, it's great to own a home. It's great to have something that appreciates, but there's also responsibilities that come with it. Roof, AC, things can go wrong. But so they don't go in blindly. One of the biggest things that I see with people buying a home, their agents fail to tell them that, hey, you bought this house right now for $400,000. The property tax is showing $2,500 a year. Well, that $2,500 was based on the previous seller buying it for $200,000. When you buy it for $400,000 in November of 2024, when it gets reassessed and your tax bill goes up to $5,000, you should be prepared for that. That way you don't have a payment shock, or you don't. Because I see people calling me, they fall behind on their mortgage because they get an escrow shortage, and suddenly they raise their mortgage payment from $1,200 a month to $1,600 a month, and they don't understand it. They just need to go, whether you use a bank, mortgage, realtor, whoever, you need all the parties in the transactions to explain to that buyer what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, like when I show buyers houses and have a synopsis that I show them all the highlights,
Mm-hmm.
I never highlight the taxes.
Because it changes.
Because it changes. It's the most accurate way is the Orange County property appraiser has a tax estimator online,
which is over the top,
yeah,
but at least it
but
gives them worst case scenario.
And I give them that to my clients and say, look, put in the information. You're going to homestead, you're not going to homestead it, and it'll kind of give you a range of where your property taxes are going to be. So don't fall in that trap when you see a listing. What are the current taxes? Because somebody who bought it 20 years ago.
Same thing with home insurance. Look at home insurance. Florida is going through a crisis with home insurance. What's sad is you could be retired on fixed income. You bought your home insurance. You've never had a claim. You were paying $1,200 a year for home insurance. Suddenly now your home insurance is $5,000 a year.
Doubled and tripled.
You can lose your home because you can't afford to have the home insurance. And if you don't find home insurance, the lender will force place home insurance on your home, which is normally triple, quadruple of the highest market rates, because these are surplus lines that the lenders force place these insurances. So insurance is a big crisis right now, more than rates.
So do they use like one or two insurance companies, or how do they do it?
No, there's tons of insurance companies, just like there's mortgage broker that deals with 20 different banks.
So the lender just picks some random insurance?
No, well, if the lender force places your insurance, they use like the surplus lines, like Lloyd's of London, and these are special niche things to where they don't inspect the home, they're just insuring it. So something that would need to, that a normal lender insurer would insure for $2,000 a year, they may be at $10,000 a year because they're just blindly insuring everything. That's why when the lender tells you that you have an escrow shortage or your home insurance has lapsed, the lender doesn't make money off your home insurance. The lender is just trying to protect your home, asset, which is their asset. Mortgage, So people think like the lender's trying to, pardon my language, screw them by making them get expensive insurance. No, that's the only option the lender has.
Well, I'm going to read this article and let me know if you're surprised or not, but it's by CBRE. It says, new mortgage payments now well above multifamily rates. This was in April last month.
It depends.
It says U.S. home buyers face average monthly mortgage payments that are 37% higher than the average monthly apartment rent. Historically, monthly mortgage payments for newly purchased homes have roughly on par with monthly apartment and rent payments. The average mortgage payment for a newly purchased home, including taxes, has increased 70% since the end of 2019. And what's interesting is home prices have fallen 9.7% since Q2 2022. They have a bar that VJ is going to pop up here, and it literally skyrocketed compared to multifamily rent and new mortgage payments. This shot up right here. And then what's also interesting is affordability. So this is another chart that VJ is going to pop up. And Orlando, from current premiums to long-term run pre-pandemic premiums, are not that bad. But like stuff like San Jose, Austin, Seattle, Boise, Idaho, they're doubled, which is nuts to me. And the average mortgage rates was 6.2% in 2023 for March. And existing mortgages has led to nearly, this is pretty shocking, existing mortgages. This has led to nearly 97% of all active U.S. mortgages have interest rates lower than the current levels in this market. Then it says here the overall U.S. housing shortage and higher mortgage rates keep demand for rental properties strong. So what's your take on that?
Well, there's, several things to consider. Depends on the price point that you're looking at and which side of the country you're in. So, for example, in Central Florida, the median home price is $412,000 for this past quarter. The median income is $80,100. They can barely afford to buy the median home price. Now, on the mortgage payment on the median home price, let's say you're a first-time home buyer, you got an FHA loan at 5.625 note rate on a 30-year fixed. With tax, insurance, PMI, your payment will be just over $3,000 a month. Well, that's for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, okay? So you can't rent a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in this market for less than $2,700 to $3,000. So in certain parts of the country and in certain price brackets, it is still better to own a home than to rent, because at least if you own it and you're paying $3,000 a month, you don't have to worry about your landlord increasing your rent payment by 15 to 20% next year when it comes for renewal. I come across people that call me to get approved for a mortgage, and I find out about how much they're paying for rent. And I say, well, wow, you're paying almost 55% of your gross income towards rent. Person's like, I don't have a choice. It's costs a lot to move. So if the landlord says, hey, I'm increasing your rent in December by 20%, well, where else am I going to move? Because I can't find anything cheaper. In 2008, when the market crashed, the reason there was so much foreclosures was because people were like, hey, my mortgage payment, the rates were in the 6s or 7s or 8s. Their mortgage payment was $3,000 a month for that median price home. Then when the market crashed, they were like, well, I can walk away from this house and go and rent something for $1,500. In this market, we are vice versa. It's almost certain areas, it's more expensive to rent than to own. So, going back to, 2008 versus this crisis, this is a healthy market. People don't walk away from their home because they've put money for down payment.
Yeah, they have a lot of equity in their homes.
They have equity, and they'll not walk away from their current mortgage is because it's more expensive to rent. So it's not cheap to rent. It's not going to be half the price to rent.
I mean, obviously there's like advantages for renting. Personally, when I rented one time in my life, when I was working overseas in Qatar and doing stuff for the U.S. Army and Air Force, in those countries, you can't buy. You have to rent.
And you knew you weren't going to be there long term.
Correct.
So why buy?
Exactly. Whereas here, you kind of build your future. Your equity increases every month, in this market especially.
And if you decide to relocate, you can rent it out because it's a healthy rental market.
Yeah.
So you buy it.
There'll always be people coming here.
Yeah.
But when you rent, think about it. People are concerned about the interest rates, 6%, 7%, 100% interest rates when you rent.
Yeah.
You're basically paying your landlord.
You're paying somebody else's mortgage.
100% interest rate.
And you have no security. You have no stability. Your landlord can sell the house on your lease renewal, and the new owner might be a primary home buyer that wants to live in that house, and you got to get out. So there's no security. That's not a place to bring up a family when you don't know whether you're going to be there in a year from now and build memories.
Yeah, it's all happy memories and smiles with us, though.
Well, it depends on which side.
The Simon Simaan Group.
Well, no, we have our moments.
But more good than bad.
Yeah.
But are you surprised that 98% of all active mortgages in this country are much more below the current rate it is right now?
Yeah, it's because people don't want to sell. That's why there's low inventory, because they don't want to move, because they're like, okay, if I sell my house, I'm going to make money. But then my mortgage payment's going to double on the new house because the rates are more than double.
What do you think would make somebody move then in this market?
You have to move for a reason of whether it's for your kid's school or whether it's for a job. Nobody's moving voluntarily just down the street because it's a nicer house. They are moving because they have to. Maybe they were in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, and now they got 3 kids, and guess what? They can't fit in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. So people move out of necessity. People are not just moving for the sake of moving.
Maybe they're holding back too, just to kind of see how the market plays out. It's all about needs and wants, right?
This housing market's not going to crash. So if they want to wait for it to crash, I'm sorry, it's not going to crash.
Not wait, but probably wait for the right one to come along.
Yeah, if you don't rush into something because you're buying it long term. Wait to find the right home, so you are not looking at Zillow every month saying, oh, what did my home go up and down? A house is not a stock. You don't look at it every month and say, oh, did it go up and down? Buy it, forget it.
And that's one thing I want to clear too. It's like, with Zillow and Trulia, they're great sites to kind of get your search started initially and find great agents like myself.
Yeah.
But
the problem with Zillow is, and I hate Zillow for certain things, but I like it. Like if I just want to know a cookie cutter home in a cookie cutter neighborhood, roughly what is it worth? Zillow is perfect. It's 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Well, there were 3 other homes in the same neighborhood that just sold. Zillow is accurate on that. But when the neighborhoods are spread apart, when the homes are unique and have different upgraded features, and the kitchen is
so
way
you're talking
over
about the
improved,
Zestimates and stuff like that.
From the Zestimate, that can't give you an accurate. So it has its plus. It gives you a good range, but it's not accurate. So that's why you need an experienced real estate agent to walk you through the process. Because when you click on that Zillow, I want to see that home, Zillow is nothing more than a lead site. You yourself buy leads off Zillow.
Correct.
So people now, the thing is, a client that goes on Zillow and clicks, I want to know more about this home, they can get lucky and be sold to you, and you're an experienced agent and can guide them, or they can be sold to John Doe that's never sold a house in their life, and they're running around just trying to get their commission.
But it's a good, the initial search to go to these sites.
Yeah, get an idea.
It's like I have the Zillow app on my phone, and when I go on vacation with my wife to certain places like, New York or San Francisco, whatever, I pull up like what's selling, what's the prices, stuff like that. So it's definitely a useful tool. But
a tool, yes.
A tool.
Yeah.
Just like everything else on your phone, there's tools on your phone. But the feed comes from the MLS. That's what everyone needs to understand. It comes from the local realtor board, the MLS, then it gets distributed and populated to all these different websites. So the source of information is through your realtor.
Yeah.
That gets sent out.
The realtors feed the MLS and the MLS feeds Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Zillow is still a great site for searching, because if I went on a regular agent's website,
they gotta be mine, Shahram. You said you don't like Zillow, now you like Zillow.
No, I like Zillow. I like Zillow for certain things. I hate Zillow for other things. So for searching for a home, just browsing, Zillow is a great site because it's so fast.
For late night stuff.
Yeah, for late night stuff. Yeah, you're going on Zillow. Their website is really fast compared to going on
it's user-friendly.
Simon Simaan's IDX feed. It's probably not as fast as Zillow, but you can go on Zillow, find your shit, and then message Simon and say, hey, Simon, I saw this thing on Zillow. Can you give me details on it?
Well, there you go. Well, I think get too sidetracked. So I guess you have to see what you want to do, whether you want to rent, whether you want to buy. But why do you think markets like Austin, for example, it says here in the chart, like there's a huge difference from the current premium to the long-term pre-pandemic premium in Austin or like Boise. Like, why is there that huge disconnect there? There's like a huge difference.
I'm the type of person, if it's not in my backyard, I don't give a crap. So I'm an expert in the Florida market or Central Florida market. I don't know anything about Austin. All I know is Orlando is hot and it's not slowing down.
I think a lot of those tech companies, the stay-at-home people that want to work, I think when they migrated to these cities and bought up everything and now they have to go back to the West or do whatever the case may be, I think that what really drove up the price. And that's why it doesn't really have a strong foundation, whereas Florida, we have everything here.
Well, Florida was also way underpriced. You right now,
exactly.
If you were to try to build a new home and you call up a contractor and they come out and they give you a bid, you can build, even just to build an average home is no less than $300 a square foot. So why are we trying to buy a house for $150 a square foot? That's where Florida is now kind of like, you people, you're not going to steal our homes. So prices are just coming back up and people are going to pay. Nobody's stealing a house in Florida anymore.
Well, that's like interesting because like California, and we spoke about this in the first volume, historically, the prices have gone up much further than Florida.
But their salaries were so much higher.
Correct, but the prices kind of correlated with that. In Florida, I felt like, you're right, now it's like our time has come.
Yeah, it's our time has come. Why should we be so much cheaper?
Now, the prices are where it should have been if it went up gradually.
Yeah.
But we just like spiked.
Yeah.
During the pandemic.
2008, it was going up till 2008. Then the market crashed, so we came down, and then we were unrealistic down. You can't build something that cheap. So Florida is now saying no more.
People really see the value.
Yeah.
In that.
People see the value of living in Florida. You got good weather. You got lower taxes. You got good governor. Unfortunately, I don't care which side of the spectrum you're at with politics. He kept Florida moving. So that's why everyone wants to move here.
We could have been California 2.0.
Yeah, we could have been. And then we would not have seen this growth.
But now we're sitting here doing our podcast for the first day, talking about how amazing the market is.
Yeah.
And how important it is to find the right professionals to guide you through that. And we hope that Shahram Sondi will be a mortgage expert and the Simon Simaan Group will help you guys find a home or sell a home and take advantage of this great market, whether you're buying or selling.
Absolutely.
Do you think it'll go more towards a buyer's market, or is it teetering?
I don't think not till there's enough inventory. There's not enough inventory for it to turn into a buyer's market. Mm-hmm. Sellers are not just moving, as you just now talked about it. Like the rates are 97% of the people's rates are lower than the current market rates. Well, they're not moving unless they have to. And there's only so many people that have to move. And the market won't crash. I don't care. Because here's what happens again. If the average, that 97% that you talked about, the rates are below. So if your rates are in the 2s and 3s, because you bought your house prior to 2022, end of 2021, you were still getting a low rate, you will dig dirt before you lose your home, because your mortgage payment on a $400,000 house at 2.875 rate is probably in the $1,700-$1,800 range. Mm-hmm. Well, now that same house at 6.5% is going to be over $3,000. So you're not going to walk away from your home and go into foreclosure or the market pull back to where it becomes a buyer's market, because there's nowhere else for you to move to that's cheaper.
Well, like you were saying about, what would cost someone to move. Like you live in Lake Mary.
Yeah.
You saw a house that we did a recent remodel on in Bay Hill.
Yeah.
And you were like blown away, like, wow, I can really live here.
I love that house.
I know. So my question is, would you be comfortable buying another home right now?
No, actually, I love the home that you had in the Mary.
Yeah, I
if
know.
It was a normal market, I would have sold my home in Lake Mary and I would have bought your home. But then I'm looking at my rate, it's 2.75. I'm like, as much as I love Simon's home in Bay Hill, guess what? I'm not buying that home because my rate's going to be in the 6s.
You see, that's where we differ, because I feel comfortable that I would buy and sell homes in this market personally. And we're actually looking for a home, my wife and I, just because I'm comfortable that the market's not going to crash. It's still going to do good. And I'm confident that I can find something at a good price that both my wife and I feel comfortable going into.
Well, that goes back to you're blessed to where you can afford it. So there's a certain percentage of the population can afford to upgrade and relocate. You got a big portion of them. When they say the median income is $80,100 in Central Florida, that means the average Central Floridian only makes $80,000. They can't afford to move, even if they see the potential. They just can't afford it.
But there's options out there. Like, for example, like my niece, she, makes the average income in Central Florida. Now, she couldn't find something, let's say, in Dr. Phelps or Windermere. However, we found her a great deal in Ocoee for a nice townhome, new construction. So there's always stuff out there, but you have to know where to look to find them.
Yes, you have to have the right expectations. If you want to live in Windermere, you're not going to get it. So guess what? You move to Ocoee at a different price, or Oviedo at a different price. So as you said, you change your expectations on where to move to.
Affordability, I mean, look, San Francisco, even a couple years ago, it was $2 million the average home price.
I don't know how people afford those.
Now it's $1.5 million. It's still better than up north and out west.
Absolutely. Again, goes back to, if you can buy a home, buy a home.
Correct.
You'd be crazy not to buy a home. Forget even, we're not accountants, so I don't want to talk about the tax benefits. But yeah, you can write off up to $700,000 worth of interest on your taxes for your mortgage. So owning a home is always better than renting, as long as you can afford it.
But doing the right stuff, like having the right counsel like yourself, because you brought up like maybe somebody can't afford a home. I understand, like everyone's situation is different, but maybe somebody shouldn't buy, $100,000 Mercedes. Maybe they should invest in their fund to find a nice home, and there's ways to figure out.
Absolutely, that's why there's financial planners. They should have I think every individual that wants to plan for retirement should have a financial planner or read certain stuff to help them. Help them decide. People, I get a lot of calls for pre-approvals, and people are like, I want to know what I'm approved for. Well, you shouldn't be buying a home based on what you're approved for. You should be buying a home based on what you want to approve yourself for. So if you're approved for a $500,000 mortgage and your payment's going to be $4,000 a month, but then you're really comfortable with a $3,000 mortgage payment, then you should look at a cheaper home. So you should buy based on what you can afford and are comfortable with. Yeah. Because everything gets old. That new home smell goes away.
Comfort is key.
Yeah, comfort is key. And being practical. Can you afford? People should base their mortgage payment based on their net take-home income. Mortgage guidelines are still very relaxed. Like, we'll lend somebody up to 50% of their gross income. Well, you pay taxes from your gross income. So technically, if I'm approving someone at 49% of their gross income, that means the mortgage payment that they're getting approved for might be 60% of their net income. So mortgages are still,
Yeah, be comfortable, because you want to enjoy your family. You want to be able to do things and travel and not be a slave. You don't want to be married to your mortgage. Yeah, married to your mortgage, or
marry your wife, but not your mortgage.
Well, you gotta date the rate, right, and marry the house. Yeah, as they always say, realtors and lenders these days. Yep. Well, I think we hit a lot of good topics today. Depending on how successful the show is, then we're gonna crank out some more videos that's gonna add value. And I guess if you find value in this video, in this series, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button on top. We're going to crank out some more wonderful videos. And if you think about doing a podcast and you want some great studios, check out Hi Hello Labs. They're in the Crest building on Orange Avenue. My buddy Carlos, he owns it, and he's absolutely phenomenal. And thank you for letting us use this great studio today.
Great environment, great owner.
Until then, Shahram, don't own, rent, or don't rent, own.
Own if you can, rent if you can't.
Got it. And hire the right staff. I'll see you in the next one.